This is my brutally honest review of The Sims 4 My Wedding Stories. This is part of a series where I review every Sims 4 pack, including all of the old ones. EA describes this pack as about prepping to party. Popping the question is just the beginning of your Sims wedding experience. Bringing your vision to life. Tie the knot, and when it's time, feel the love and live out every fantasy. Taking a look at Create Sim mode, the pack has some female hairs, but I feel like they could have added a couple more formal ones. There's only one male hairstyle, which I do think is unacceptable. We needed a couple more formal looking ones. A lot of the dresses I'd say are actually not that bad. They have a mixture of wedding dresses, but also like bridesmaid dresses or just general formal ones in a variety of good swatches. So you can have colorful ones if you want to have a bridesmaid, but there's also like a white swatch for everything to use as a wedding dress. They also have quite a few things from other cultures, which I think is a really great inclusivity move to represent a wide variety of different weddings. They actually added quite a few options for male Sims this time round, although we still don't have a standard black suit with a black tie. It's like the most traditional thing to have a black suit with a white shirt and a black tie, but we don't have one in The Sims 4. It just seems so bizarre to me. I do feel like the men's cast again was slightly an afterthought, although it is slightly better than most other packs, and I do give it a lot of credit for that. Kids and toddlers get remeshes of the adult hairs and a few outfits each, which to be fair, I do think is enough. Now, we need to address the LGBT slay rainbow clothing. Whose decision was it to put a rainbow swatch on all the outfits? I need to know the cognitive process that went on here. As an out and proud homosexual, I can categorically say my sexuality is offended. I'm bringing out my inner Karen Snowflake here because all of this stuff is clown material. It is literal clown material. I understand The Sims 4 is all about representation and gay people do deserve reputation in The Sims, but was it necessary to go as far as, you know, rainbow clown propaganda? Again, I know many gay people, in fact 99% of gay people who play The Sims absolutely hate all of the rainbow propaganda that's plastered on all the wedding dresses and things. So I know it's not just me, it just feels a little bit icky. In general, I think the cast definitely does have a lot of flaws, but actually I would say it's probably the strongest part of the pack, and I actually think if you want some more formal clothing for your Sims, it's actually not that bad. So the cast is getting a 7 out of 10. Taking a look at build mode, My Wedding Stories comes with some different decorations for a variety of weddings from different cultures. Again, I really like that they added items from different cultures, although it seems like they went for a jack of all trades approach. What I mean by that is it contains some items from other cultures, but not enough to create an entire wedding venue. So a lot of it feels a little bit out of place. It comes with some wedding arches and some generic wedding venue style furniture, but I wouldn't really say it's the best pack for build mode, especially seeing the world that comes with this pack is Italian themed. I expected a lot more Italian inspired stuff, but we didn't really get that much. To be honest, I'm a little bit disappointed with the build mode because it gives you a taster of different kind of wedding stuff, but it doesn't give you the full thing. To be constructive, I think the Sims team should have added a lot more Italian inspired decorations and architecture. And if they were feeling extra ambitious, which are usually not in The Sims 4, I would have loved to have seen just some more generic celebratory decorative objects, such as, you know, balloons, a large rectangular buffet table instead of a circular one. I just feel like there was so much more they could have added. Build mode is a little bit below average. It gets a 4 out of 10. Taking a look at the world, it's actually surprisingly big for a game pack world, and it contains 9 lots in 2 areas. The upper area, I guess, kind of looks like a honeymoon destination with the waterfalls and the beaches, although no pre-made vacation rental lot here. The lower area contains a main town area with a couple of rabbit hole shops, but to be honest, nothing really to do. It's such a shame because it's one of the most beautiful worlds in the entire game, but there really is nothing. Even the beaches are so empty and lifeless. If The Sims 4 wasn't such a cash grabby game locking every single minute gameplay feature behind a different pack, it would have been really lovely to have a beachside restaurant, but of course we don't because that's locked behind Die Now. Or how about a little cafe or just a couple of shops you could enter, but of course that could never happen. The world is pretty but lifeless. I've dated gym bros with more personality than this world, and that really is saying something. Tartosa had the potential to be a beautiful honeymoon destination, but it fell flat in how shallow it is. Although I do give it a little bit of credit for actually being a very big and beautiful looking world considering that it's a game pack. The world is getting a 4 out out of 10. Taking a look at gameplay, My Wedding Stories has some wedding events beside the actual ceremony itself, such as a bachelor party or an engagement party. These are relatively basic Sims events which don't really offer much in terms of new gameplay. There are also some new wedding related objects, including a buffet table and drinks fountain, although these did come with luxury party stuff too. There's a dance floor which also came with Get Together, but there is a tea making set which is brand new gameplay. Sims can buy a wedding cake from a vendor or make one themselves. You can also buy a bouquet of flowers from a stand. Now, I just want to say from the offset, this pack was implemented terribly. You'd think clicking on an interaction to plan a wedding allows you to plan the wedding, but actually what this interaction does is it makes you have your wedding immediately, and this is not very clear. So you go to plan a wedding, but then it turns out you actually attend the wedding immediately. If you want to plan it, you actually have to do it through the in-game calendar, which is not very clear. The UI is also terrible. For example, if you select two Sims as fiancés, every time you click on an interaction with any Sim, the first thing that pops up on the interaction box is loads of wedding related things. They're not locked behind their own special category, and it makes social interactions very, very disorganized. There's also an option to select the wedding cake when you do plan the wedding, but it's impossible to click. You instead have to just put the wedding cake in your inventory and then place it on the lot when you attend the venue. It's just like an abandoned feature where they left the coding in for it. It's very strange. The wedding ceremony itself is pretty awful. Clicking on certain objects opens an overwhelming pie menu with different interactions. Again, a UI coded mess. The wedding interactions themselves are very difficult to execute. There's no organization whatsoever, and it doesn't really feel like gameplay. It just feels like there are some interactions, and whether or not it works is like a potluck. Even the most skilled wedding planner probably will not be able to handle this. Most of the interactions make absolutely no sense. For example, you can send a ring bearer down the aisle, but they don't give the ring to the bride and groom because there's no interaction for the bride and groom to stand at the wedding arch. Sims walk down the aisle one by one whilst everybody is busy doing their own thing or just sat down doing nothing. Other interactions like dancing and toast are implemented so poorly they're basically not functional and they feel very awkward and stiff. Sims won't go where they need to go, and it just feels like you can't do anything that you want to do. The pack doesn't really feel like it comes with any gameplay. It just feels like it comes with animations that maybe work, maybe don't work, and it's so unplayable, it's embarrassing. And I haven't even gotten to the bugs and glitches yet. I'm solely talking about like the non-glitchy gameplay is bad. To offer some constructive criticism to EA to be useful, I think this pack would have been better implemented as a wedding planning career pack as opposed to a wedding itself, where the gameplay revolves around wedding planning, but the actual wedding itself is more like a scripted scene where the game generates a scene and the scene works out perfectly. So it's like you're watching a movie, and then maybe afterwards your Sim receives a DVD of the wedding ceremony and they can watch it back and get like a happy moodlet. That way I feel like the gameplay could have been a lot more rewarding and engaging, because the focus is on working out how to plan maybe your own wedding, but also perhaps a wedding event planning career where you plan somebody else's. And depending on how well you performed as a wedding planner, that determines whether or not the wedding ceremony scenes that are generated are positive or negative. For example, if you're a very poor planner, maybe it could end up that the bride or groom runs away from the aisle and they get abandoned and it's really dramatic. Maybe the ceremony could go perfectly and you get paid a lot of money as a wedding planner. That way, the gameplay I just feel like would have been very rewarding, and actually watching the scenes would have been beautiful to watch, because it's very clear that the game cannot handle weddings and events very well. So a much better way would have been simply to do a hard-coded, scripted event that happened. I also think they could have gone down the aisle of having a generic celebrations pack where, just like in The Sims 4 Seasons, you could create custom holidays. Perhaps it could have been a celebration style pack where you create custom different celebration events. You can make birthday parties with certain kind of activities, creating a custom work party with your colleagues. I just feel like, you know, either a wedding planner event career or a generic celebrations game pack would have been much better. Taking everything into consideration, I'm giving this one a 0 out of 10 for gameplay for being unplayable. Taking a look at performance, I bet you can guess my score for this one already. In terms of bugs and glitches, again, this pack is also very much unplayable in that barely literally anything in this pack works. You click on an interaction and it simply won't happen. Dress codes never work. Sims will dress inappropriately. Sims will get up and wander around like annoying, stupid Sims. It really is pot luck with this pack, whether it works or not. And I've played this pack many times and every single time it just hasn't worked. Again, as I said, they should have just focused on making it a wedding planning career. That way, I believe there would be significantly less room for error. So it does get a 0 out of 10 for performance issues. Taking a look at cross-pack play, this pack does actually have some cross-pack play with seasons, as you can craft wedding bouquets with the flower arranging table. Although unfortunately, if you do have seasons installed, it rains all of the time in Tarsosa. It is so severe. The Sims team really need to like tune it down because it is that bad. It's supposed to be a beautiful sunny paradise, but it's not. Now, if you won't get to work, you cannot sell wedding cakes, because I know a lot of people like the idea of running a bakery selling wedding cakes. You cannot do this. EA forgot to code wedding cakes as normal food, so that just won't happen. They're not sellable. In my personal opinion, I think the pack should have come with a honeymoon feature that feels fleshed out. Being able to go to any other world, for example, the Island Living world, and go on a nice vacation on a honeymoon and have different honeymoon related goals. Even if you do own packs like Dine Out or Get Together or even Get to Work, where you can run a wedding dress shop, theoretically, you could sell bouquets of flowers, theoretically, you could have a cafe or restaurant on the beach, theoretically. In the world, you can't because of the way the lots are placed. There was definitely a significant opportunity for them to add tons of cross-pack play here, but they didn't add any really. My overall score of The Sims 4 My Wedding Stories is a 3 out of 10. The only justification I think I would have to buy this pack is if you really enjoy the Create a Sim stuff and you want some more formal dresses and things. Otherwise, I don't recommend it at all. If you did purchase this pack and you haven't really played with it that much, to be honest, I recommend contacting EA and asking for a refund because it feels like a faulty product. If you enjoyed this review, you might also enjoy the next Sims 4 pack review offered here. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next one.